Animals of the Ice Age. Written and illustrated by John Hughes. Contents. What is an ice age? 2. What happens in an ice age? 4. Life in the Ice Age. 6. Away from the ice. 16. What happened to the animals of the Ice Age? 18. Glossary. 22. Index. 23. What is an ice age? An ice age is when the climate on Earth gets colder and colder. Huge areas are covered with ice and snow. Scientists know that this has happened several times in the history of the Earth, although they don't know why. Winter in the Ice Age was much longer and colder than it is today. What happens to the animals in an ice age? Some die, but others find ways of living in the cold. They grow bigger, and they also grow thick woolly coats. They develop layers of fat to keep warm. Mammoths were able to survive in the Ice Age. What happens in an ice age? In an ice age, the ice at the North and South Poles spreads and spreads. Scientists call it an ice sheet, and it can be nearly 5 kilometers thick. Rivers of ice, called glaciers, slide across the land, cutting through mountains. The climate on Earth changes in an ice age, even in places where there are no ice sheets. Summers become short and winters are long and freezing. These pictures show how much of the Earth was covered with ice in the Ice Age. Fact: Ice Age summers were cool. Not all the snow and ice melted. Life in the Ice Age. Early humans. If we could go back thousands of years to when the Earth was cooler, what might we see? There were no dinosaurs. They had all died out. We would see many different kinds of animals which had learned to live in the cold. We might also see early humans hunting big grass-eating animals like mammoths for food. Early humans learned to survive in the Ice Age. Mammoths. Mammoths looked rather like elephants today, but they were bigger. They used their long tusks for clearing snow, so they could eat the grass underneath. They had 2 coats, a layer of hair on top and a woolly undercoat. We know about mammoths because we have found paintings of them in the caves where early humans lived. Scientists have also found the remains of mammoths. The biggest mammoth was found in northern China. Fact: An adult male mammoth weighed about 6 tons. Its tusks were over 4 meters long. Mammoths had small tails. This is because a long tail would get frozen in the winter. Cave bears. Although the cave bear looked fierce, it probably lived off roots and berries. It sometimes lived in the same caves as early humans, and may also have eaten dead animals. Saber-toothed tiger. Humans were not the only hunters. The saber-toothed tiger also ate big grass-eating animals. Fact: The saber-toothed tiger was about the size of a modern lion, but its 2 canine teeth were nearly 18 centimeters long. Smilodon. The most scary of the saber-toothed tigers was Smilodon. It would hide and leap out on its prey. It ate animals much bigger than itself. Ground sloth. The gigantic ground sloth looked rather like a huge hamster. Humans may have hunted it because it moved slowly. It had sharp claws, but it seems to have used them for ripping bark off trees and collecting leaves. This huge ground sloth was as big as a modern elephant. Glyptodon. Glyptodon was about the size of a small car. It ate plants and was covered with thick bony plates, even on its head. It needed these plates to keep it safe. Scientists think that Smilodon ate animals like this. Doedicurus. Doedicurus was a plant eater and was also covered with thick bony plates. It was even bigger than Glyptodon, and it had an extra weapon. Its tail was like a club. Teratorn. Teratorn was a huge bird of prey which could eat a small animal whole. It could fly great distances. Away from the ice. Not all the world was covered with ice. Most of Australia had no ice, and it had many animals. Procoptodon was the biggest kangaroo that ever lived, and it ate leaves. Diprotodon. This animal lived in Australia and carried its babies in its pouch. Thylacoleo. This animal lived in Australia. It carried its babies in a pouch, like a modern kangaroo, but it ate meat. It was a terrifying hunter, about the size of a small lion. Fact: Thylacoleo had huge claws and could climb trees after its prey. What happened to the animals of the Ice Age? Most of the animals from the Ice Age have died out. Scientists call it extinction. Scientists think that many Ice Age animals died out when the climate became warmer and drier. Since then, many other animals have also died out, like the dodo. The dodo was a large bird that could not fly. It died out because it could not protect itself from humans. Steller's sea cows moved very slowly. It was difficult for them to escape human hunters, and they also died out. Tasmanian tigers were not tigers at all. They were about the size of dogs, and most scientists think that they have become extinct. Today, scientists are finding the remains of extinct animals from long ago. They are finding out how and why these amazing animals died. Scientists found the remains of a wolf from the Ice Age. It still had a piece of tooth from a saber-toothed tiger stuck in its skull. Not long ago, scientists dug up a frozen mammoth from the Arctic. They could see what it had looked like. They found out how old it was, and they discovered that it ate grass and flowering plants and the bark from trees. Animals in the Ice Age died a long time ago, but scientists are now beginning to learn how they lived. Mammoths became extinct thousands of years ago. Glossary. Canine. Kind of tooth. Climate. Expected weather in any place. Extinction. When a kind of animal or plant dies out forever. Glaciers. Rivers of ice. Ice sheet. Thick covering of ice over the land. Pouch. Bag or pocket where animals keep their babies, for example, kangaroos. Prey. Animal that is hunted and killed by another for food. Remains. Things that are left behind. Skull. Bones of the head. Survive. Live. Tusks. Huge teeth. Weapon. Something used for attack or defense.